The lights are off, the room is quiet, and the only thing still awake is your screen. One episode ends, and before your brain even registers it, the next one begins. No decision, no pause, just a silent countdown pulling you deeper. Minutes blur into hours, and somehow, what felt like a short break turns into an entire night gone. This isn't an accident. It isn't just habit. It's design. Streaming platforms were built to feel effortless, almost invisible, like they're simply responding to what you want. But beneath that smooth experience is something far more calculated. Because the platforms you use to relax are not just entertaining you. They are shaping what you watch, how long you stay, and even when you stop thinking about stopping. And once you notice it, it becomes impossible to ignore. Over the past decade, streaming has completely transformed how the world consumes entertainment. What once required schedules, cable subscriptions, or physical media is now available instantly, anywhere, at any time. Entire seasons drop at once. Movies are recommended before you even search for them. Music adapts to your mood without you asking. Billions of people now rely on streaming platforms daily, with many spending hours per session without even realizing it. On the surface, it feels like a perfect system. You pay a subscription, and in return, you get unlimited access. No ads interrupting you. No restrictions holding you back. Just pure, uninterrupted entertainment. But that simplicity hides a deeper question that most people never stop to ask. If you are not consciously paying with your attention, then what exactly are you paying with? Because every feature that feels convenient, every recommendation that feels accurate, every seamless transition that keeps you engaged is powered by something much bigger than entertainment. Behind the scenes, there is a system built on behavioral tracking, psychological triggers, and machine learning models trained to predict your behavior with surprising accuracy. And the truth is, most of these mechanisms are working quietly, without your awareness. Streaming platforms do not just deliver content. They study you. Every action you take is recorded and analyzed. When you pause, when you rewind, when you skip, when you stop watching halfway through, even how long you hover over a title before clicking, it all becomes data. Over time, this data builds a detailed profile of your habits, your preferences, and even your emotional patterns. The system learns when you are most likely to binge, what kind of pacing keeps you engaged, and which genres you are less likely to abandon. But here's where it becomes uncomfortable. These systems are not designed primarily to maximize your satisfaction. They are designed to maximize your retention. That means the goal is not always to show you the best content. It is to show you the content that will keep you watching the longest. And those two things are not always the same. Internal insights from major platforms have revealed that even something as simple as a thumbnail image is constantly being tested and personalized. The same show can appear completely different to different users. One person might see a romantic scene. Another might see action. Another might see suspense. Each version is carefully selected to trigger a specific emotional response based on past behavior. You are not just choosing content. The system is choosing how that content is presented to you. And you never even notice it happening. This leads to a critical shift in how content is created and delivered. Because when engagement becomes the main goal, quality is no longer the only priority. Content that grabs attention quickly, that keeps viewers from clicking away, often gets pushed forward, while slower, more thoughtful content can struggle to compete. And this connects directly to one of the most common behaviors in modern entertainment, binge-watching. It feels natural. You finish one episode, and the next one starts automatically. There is no moment to reconsider, no clear stopping point. But this experience is not accidental. Autoplay features were introduced as a convenience, something designed to make viewing smoother and more enjoyable. But behavioral science shows something deeper. When you remove friction, you increase consumption. Humans are far more likely to continue an activity when there is no interruption forcing them to make a decision. That small countdown between episodes, just a few seconds, is incredibly powerful. It bypasses conscious thought and turns watching into a continuous flow. And once that flow begins, time starts to disappear. Studies have shown that people consistently underestimate how long they have been watching when autoplay is active. What feels like one episode quietly turns into 3 or 4. What feels like an hour becomes an entire evening. And the system never interrupts you. It never asks if you should stop. Because from the platform's perspective, every additional minute you stay is a success. But the deeper issue is not just how long you watch. It is what you watch and, more importantly, what you never get to see. Because behind the endless rows of recommendations is a system that quietly controls visibility. Streaming platforms present themselves as open spaces where creativity can thrive, where anyone can find something they love. But in reality, they act as powerful gatekeepers. Algorithms decide which shows appear on your homepage, which ones trend, which ones get promoted, and which ones remain hidden. A large portion of available content is rarely surfaced to users, not necessarily because it lacks quality, but because it does not match the engagement patterns the system is optimized for. This creates a loop. Popular content gets more visibility. More visibility leads to more views. More views reinforce the algorithm's decision, and everything outside that loop struggles to break through. For creators, this means success can be unpredictable, even with high-quality work. For viewers, it means your choices are not as open as they seem. You are navigating a curated version of reality, shaped by data-driven decisions long before you even start scrolling. The platform does not just host culture, it actively shapes it. And this is where the hidden cost of streaming begins to surface. On the outside, it feels like unlimited entertainment. Endless options, endless access, endless convenience. But the real cost is not financial. It is time, it is attention, it is mental energy. Research on media consumption suggests that excessive passive viewing can affect sleep patterns, reduce focus, and impact overall mood, especially when the consumption is automatic rather than intentional. Late-night watching becomes routine. Sleep schedules slowly shift. The line between relaxation and habit becomes harder to define. And because the experience feels comfortable, it rarely raises concern. That is what makes it effective. The system works best when you are not fully aware of it, when you are not questioning it, when you are simply letting it play. Because the longer you stay engaged, the more valuable your presence becomes within that system. Not necessarily to you, but to the platform that is tracking, learning, and optimizing around your behavior. At this point, the question is no longer whether streaming is good or bad. It is not about rejecting technology or avoiding entertainment. It is about understanding control. Who decides what you see? Who influences how long you stay? Who benefits from your attention? Because once you start recognizing the patterns, the autoplay, the recommendations, the subtle nudges, the experience begins to feel different, more intentional, more visible, less passive. The system does not force you to stay. It does not trap you in an obvious way. It simply removes the friction that would normally give you the chance to stop. And in doing so, it reshapes your behavior without ever asking for permission. The screen glows in the dark. Another episode begins. And for a brief moment, there is a choice: to keep watching or to stop. Streaming platforms have changed entertainment forever, making content more accessible than ever before. But behind that convenience is a system carefully engineered to capture and hold your attention, not through force, but through design. And once you see how that design works, it becomes harder to ignore it. So the next time your screen keeps playing without asking, take a second and notice it. Because if your next show is always chosen for you, if your next episode starts without your decision, then the real question becomes, are you actually in control, or just following a system that was designed to keep you watching? And if you found this breakdown insightful, you already know what to do. Stick around, because there is a lot more beneath the surface, and the next one might change the way you see your screen forever. Thanks for watching. Subscribe our channel for more global exposes.